Hi all, welcome back to my channel. It's dinner time. So tonight I'm going to make a vegetarian dinner. That's right, I'm going to make everything vegetarian. I was a practicing vegetarian back in my mid-40s. I used to run at the gym. I used to rollerblade. I worked out 5 days a week. I did yoga and Pilates, you name it. I was there. And I was a vegetarian. My waist size was this big around. Anyhow, tonight we're gonna have a vegetarian dinner. And everything that I'm using, I've already had prepped in my home. So it's gonna make it really easy. We're gonna use lentil beans to make lentil meatballs. I say meatballs to catch your attention, but it's actually gonna be vegetable balls made with lentil beans. I'm gonna show you how to do that. And I'm going to then make, with the lentil balls, I'm going to add all my favorite things: mushrooms, spinach, onions, carrots, and then I'm going to make milche. Am I saying that correctly? Potato noodles, to put it all over with the meatballs, over with the noodles and the sauce. And I'm going to make my own tomato sauce with some frozen tomatoes that I have prepped, with everything you see here, rice, all the spices. And tonight I think I want to kick it a bit. I'm going to make my vegetarian meatballs, meatless balls. I'm going to use some ginger and some curry and some turmeric and some shawarma, which is a Middle Eastern spice that I really like, and the garlic and all the other fun stuff. Anyhow, we're going to go through the process. Now, just to be safe, because I'm not sure that Kevin's going to buy this, I can talk him into a lot of things, but vegetarian dinner, he might not be on board. So I'm going to make him a chicken breast as well. He can try my meatless balls, and he can have chicken, whatever he likes. And we're gonna make a gravy and a brine and everything to put it in. So come along, let's get started. Well, there'll be a lot of moving parts to this dinner in separate sections to do independently and then pull it all together. So the first thing I wanna do is get some rice. I'm gonna use 1/4 cup of rice. Maybe even less than that, I only need a pinch. So let's take out some rice and then we'll decide how much that's gonna be. All right, so we're gonna, of course, rinse it first. Let's see here, what are those lines? There's 1/3. Let's see if I even need 1/3 of a cup. Let's find out. Yeah, we'll do 1/3 of a cup of rice. So let's get that rinsed. So I want to thaw my pre-cut in blanched carrots and onion in the microwave for just about 45 seconds to get these to thaw enough where I can cut them. Set the tomatoes aside for now and the potatoes aside for now. And I'm also going to use 1 clove of garlic. There we go. Smells good, that garlic. All right. Next, we're gonna cut up some onion. Now, these are the onions I have in the freezer that I've already prepped and froze. We're gonna use just about half of this bag. The rest of them you can go back in the freezer and use them another time. I'll just close them up with a rubber band and they'll be ready to use for another meal. These chopped up a bit. Boy, that garlic smells. Carrots cut. Very nice, I think. And these we'll set aside. Okay, next thing I want to do is get the lentil beans drained. But before I do that, let's start cooking the rice. So let's drain the water off the rice and we'll get the rice cooked. This is all going to be part of the meatless lentil balls. And then I'm going to put this in a hot skillet and start to cook it. I've got the temperature on high. I'm going to add a little bit of oil. All right, next let's get our garlic and onions cooked. I've got my burner on high, and this time I'm going to pour some olive oil in, like so. And once that gets hot, we'll start with the garlic. That rice is bubbling really nice. I'm going to now turn it down to about a simmer and just let it continue to cook on low simmer. Skillet's hot. Let's get the garlic in there. That'll be the first thing we cook. Let's turn this heat down to a 7. There we go. First thing is the garlic. Not much. I'm not making a big batch. Gonna let that brown a bit. Then we're gonna dump in the carrot and the onion. Ooh, that flavor's being released. I can smell it of the garlic. Very nice. Don't want to caramelize the garlic, which is now starting to happen. So let's go with the onions and carrots. This is going to make a lot of splash. As I say in many of my videos, it's as simple as cut, stir, cook, done. And it appears that the audio on my microphone stopped working. But at this point, I'm just using my hand mixer and I'm mushing all these lentil beans drained out of the water into a paste so that we can use them as the base component to make our meatless lentil balls. Now that these are all mashed up, let's get the carrots, garlic, and onion put in there. How nice that looks, isn't that great? Mix those together. Next thing I want to get in here are the mushrooms. And I want to cut those just a bit to break them up. And while my mushrooms are cooking, let's get the spices put in here. I'm going to use some turmeric. And I just kind of measure by sight. I'm farsighted, by the way. Get some pepper in there. All right, I want to get some ginger. Now, I don't want to overdo with any of these spices, so I am going to measure. I'm going to use a half a teaspoon of ginger. There we are. And that's ground ginger. I'm going to do the same with the curry. I love the smell of curry. I really, truly do. So we're going to do a half a teaspoon of curry. This is powdered curry. Very nice. And to kick it up a notch, I'm going to do 2 teaspoons, or 2 half teaspoons, which comes out to a teaspoon of shawarma. Again, this is a wonderful Mediterranean spice. And you spice these any way you want. You want to do an Italian blend, you do an Italian blend. You want to put in some beef flavor, make them taste like beef, real beef. meatballs, you can do that. Use a beef bouillon, whatever you want to do. I'm going to make them this way tonight, because I think that really sounds good, those spices. Give that a smell test, a taste test. That's going to be so good. Very good. But guess what? I'm going to kick it up. Put in some more curry. And let's get some ginger in there. All right, and it definitely needs salt. Some sea salt in there. And let's go grab my mushrooms. Mushrooms are done, so let's cut them up. They're hot, but let's get those cut. And you don't have to use mushrooms if you don't want to. I like mushrooms. All right, let's get those in there. Stir those together. You can see how this lentils, as they start to dry out, and as they got mushed, they turn into the same consistency as if you was to make it with beef meatballs. Let's taste that again. Those are gonna be good, but I want more salt. And I'm gonna put in more turmeric. There we go. I like things spicy. Let's make it snap a bit. I've also got this spicy chili crisp red pepper paste, which I like. So let's put some of that in there. Look at that. That'll give it the kick I'm looking for, won't it? There we go. Oh yeah. Even the color looks inviting to me. All right, let me check my rice. And the rice is done. So let's get only half of that in there. The other half, Kevin can have for dinner. Let's mix that up in there. Now, if you wanted to put an egg in here to bind it together a little bit, you could do so. You don't have to. All right, let's get my spinach in there. Again, this is the spinach leaf that I freeze. I buy it fresh, pre-washed. Take it right out of the bag that comes in from the supermarket and put it right into these seal bags myself and freeze it up. So whenever I want spinach for dinner, I have it right here. Isn't that great? And I'm going to just cut that a little bit if I can. I think I can. Yeah. Because I want it to be evenly distributed. Perfect. How lovely that meatless meatloaf or meatless meatballs are coming together. Doesn't that look lovely? Okay, those are fantastic. So now I'm going to just, if your mixture is too hot, let it cool. Now to make that bind a bit, to hold together, you can use cornstarch, an egg. I use potato starch. And you can buy this called potato starch. I'm gonna use these tonight on my noche as well. So let's put a little let's start out with a tablespoon of potato starch. Get that mixed up. Very nice. Checking the moisture. I'm gonna put in some more. Tablespoon. Let's mix it up. Look how wonderful that looks. Who knew, right? All right. Just want to make sure that's going to be dry enough. I think that's going to be great. So now I'm going to make some little meatballs out of that. I'm also going to add some oat flour. And I don't need a lot of oat flour, just a little bit. There we go, get some oats in there. Use my little spice grinder and make flour. There we are. Let's get that distributed and mixed up. I'm just looking for these two ingredients of the potato paste and the oat flour as a binding agent. Because I don't want this to get any wetter. If I put an egg in there, it certainly would do that. Yeah, that's gonna be very nice. All right, let me get my parchment paper and we'll make some balls out of that. I like some mushrooms as well, so let's get in some mushrooms. I shouldn't be the only one to get them, right? Kevin should enjoy them as well. Again, those came out of the freezer, pre-prepped. I just popped them in the microwave for 30 seconds, and there we go. Now those will taste really yummy with some butter, so let's do that. And let's get his chicken breast in there. If you have a picky eater in the house, just like I do, there's always alternatives. A piece of chicken breast, boneless, prepped. All right, so I'm gonna turn this on low and keep it covered. But first, let's get some Italian blend. Rosemary. Focus, Jeffrey. There we go. Perfect. Doesn't that look beautiful? So I want to cover that, turn it on low, just let that cook. While that's cooking, we're going to start the noodles. See if I can pull this off. So we've got my bowl. We have both packs of potatoes. I've thawed these in the microwave. We're going to mash them. I'm going to leave the peels right on them. No need to take them off. It's probably going to be a little bit too much. I'm going to put half the pack in there. The other half, I'm going to give to Kevin for dinner, along with his rice. So we've got the potato in there. I'm going to put in just a little bit of butter, not much, a dollop. Then we're going to use my little trusty mixer, get that all mixed up. How lovely those are. Right. Next thing we want to put in there is I want some minced onion, and you can spice your noodles any way you want. So there's some minced onion. I'm gonna put in some garlic powder. Okay. And I'm gonna put in a little bit of potato starch. That'll help bind it together. All right, there we go. Look at that. Isn't that nice? Got my potatoes mashed. There they are, mashed them up. My parchment paper, just a little bit on one side with some of the starch, potato starch. There we go. Get that potato in there. Oh, very nice. Just roll it around on that starch a little bit. Just like when you're making any type of noodles dough, you gotta play with the dough. Now you can cook these two ways.
So I made my balls out of the
boiling water,
lentil bean vegetable mixture out on parchment paper and put them in the refrigerator to get cool for about 10 minutes. And now I'm starting to cook Kevin's chicken breast, and I'm adding the onions to the skillet, and we'll start to brown those and then add Kevin's chicken breast and then move on to cooking the meatballs and making nochi potato.
That I froze a few months back, cut them, diced them in the freezer. Let's get those warmed up in a bowl, get out of there, and we're gonna turn these into a tomato puree. Our meatballs have been in the refrigerator for about 10 minutes. They've sat up very, very nicely. Nice. And when you cook these, they're gonna go in a skillet right away on high heat in oil. I'm turning these to get some more of the moisture out. All these moving parts. Just move everything on down the line. Here's my tomatoes. All right, so we've got the tomatoes themselves. All right, let's get those put into a puree. Let's get these minced up. My skillet's on high. Let's get some oil in there. We have our meatballs. So my skillet is extremely hot, and I want it to be to get these in there. Then we'll turn it down. So let's get those in the oil. So let me get these turned over. Very nice. About 10 minutes on each side. So those are cooking up very, very nice. Is I want to put in my tomato paste and start cooking the nochi. I'm going to add a little water. Look how beautifully those are cooking up. How nice those are cooking up. So I'm gonna let that sit in there again about another 5 minutes. Then I'm gonna serve dinner. So let's get Kevin's dish served up. And then I can warm the potatoes, the carrots, his rice in the microwave. There's his chicken with his mushroom and onion butter sauce. Look how beautiful that looks. So I'm going to give him the potatoes that we had from making the nochi. Let's get him some carrots, a little bit of rice, and there's Kevin's dish. How wonderful that is. All right, let's get some nochi. with some of the tomato sauce. Not much sauce, just enough for flavor. Look how beautiful that looks. There you are. I was coming to get you. Now I made my meatless meatballs.
Yeah.
And you're welcome to taste it, but I also just made you chicken.
Okay.
Because I knew that you might not be keen on that. Right?
Yeah.
It's coming, Coach. I promise it's coming. It's coming. I know, you're a hungry boy. Look at that. Homemade chicken and rice. Can you sit? Good boy. There's your dinner. So, time to sit and eat. And doesn't that look great? Your meatballs, meatless, made vegetable balls, made out of lentils, and your noche. Your noodles made out of potato. So good. Very good. Try these at home. As you saw, simple to make. Look how beautiful that looks. Isn't that great? That's really good. Now I got out some Worcestershire sauce in case I wanted it. Don't think I do. I'm gonna try it. Let's try that one. Boy, those really turned out very nice. They were spiced up so lovely with that ginger, the shawarma flavor, and the curry. Really good. Vegetarian dinner. And my noche. I think that's how you call them. The potato noodle. I think they're called noches. So, thank you for coming along. Hope you enjoyed the video. Give me a thumbs up. Like it. Don't forget to subscribe. Until next time. Well, as you can see, my plate is empty. They turned out exceptionally well. I encourage you to try these. Make your vegetarian meatballs and noche with homemade tomato sauce over the top. Perfect. Give this a